Welcome to the Proud Psychologist podcast, where we look at all things mental health. Brought to you by me, Carol, an LGBTQ coaching psychologist. Hello everyone. I'd like to dedicate this podcast to the wonderful human who requested I cover Frozen 2. I hope you feel seen. I honestly didn't expect this film to hit me so deeply when I sat down to watch it. But I had such a visceral reaction, and I caught myself thinking, I really don't like Elsa. This interested me because she is a sweet, independent and clever character who clearly wants to help people and to find somewhere she can belong. All very normal and relatable, right? I briefly contemplated writing mainly about Elsa, but the thought came, fuck Elsa. Not because she's bad though, but because her story, the independent hero who saves herself, is the one we're told to celebrate. She is one part of the story, but undoubtedly hers is the one that gets glorified. Her independence and self-containment are held up as the ideal. Yet, there is another woman in this story who goes through her own journey of transformation and healing. A woman who abandons herself in the name of love and who prioritizes looking after others. Anna's story is many people's story. The theme throughout the film is one of healing and individuation for both Anna and Elsa. The discovery of how to exist as their own people while also being in relation with each other. Keeping this in mind, Anna's character arc is much more human, realistic and relatable. I wanted to deliver a podcast episode for all of the Annas out there because she seems so overlooked. But then I realised I am both Anna and Elsa. My fuck Elsa energy wasn't really about Elsa at all. It was me pushing back against how society invisibilizes people like Anna, those who abandon themselves in the name of love and keeping things together, and against how I have invisibilized the Anna within me. So, in this episode, we'll look at Anna and Elsa not as opposites, but as mirrors, exploring what happens when we let both exist. It's common in our culture in the UK for independence to be held in high regard. Learning to drive and passing your driving test as soon as you can is one example of this, with many well-meaning adults emphasising the independence and freedom that can come from just being able to get in the car and drive wherever you want. Capitalist cultures all place a strong focus on productivity too, which typically centres around the concept of how much one person can achieve on their own. Furthermore, and this is encapsulated within works such as Eat, Pray, Love, the concept of finding yourself is seen as an important and sometimes even noble drive. The idea that we cannot love other people until we love ourselves feeds the importance we as a culture put on finding yourself. All of this comes at the cost of recognising what interdependence has to offer. When we are interdependent, we are able to do things on our own, for others, and have other people do things for us. We exist as individuals and as part of something that is mutually supportive and bigger than just ourselves. With this in mind, the societal focus on Elsa is a mirror of our societal priorities. In a culture that glorifies finding yourself, productivity, and independence, the Elsas are celebrated and the Annas, who are keeping things functional, get forgotten. When we look at what's happening between Anna and Elsa in Frozen 2, the themes of enmeshment and codependency are strong. This is shown very clearly in the beginning when Elsa is preoccupied with her need to belong and her feelings, which she struggles to manage on her own. and Anna is preoccupied with Elsa and Elsa's well-being. Anna's preoccupation with Elsa is strikingly illustrated by her completely missing that Kristoff was trying to propose to her because she was only thinking of Elsa. Here, neither has their full personhood, and they depend on the other to be happy. Elsa depends on Anna to help her manage her feelings and feel stable, while Anna depends on her ability to keep Elsa safe and calm. When they venture into the enchanted forest, they start to go through a process of differentiation and individuation. It's messy and not instantaneous. In fact, we see one of the clearest examples of their enmeshment and codependency when they find their parents' ship and, through the memories contained within the water, it becomes clear that their parents died while trying to reach Atahallan, a magical place that they theorized is connected to Elsa's powers, and that has been connected to the enchantment over the forest. Elsa becomes very upset and falls into thinking that she is the reason their parents died. Anna seamlessly slips into the role of reassuring her sister and containing Elsa's feelings for her. Elsa's transformation from enmeshed and codependent is achieved through magical means at Atahallan, in something that feels reminiscent of spiritual bypassing. Spiritual bypassing being the use of spirituality to essentially skip over much needed emotional processing to the desired goal of bliss, happiness, and transcendence. Anna, however, has a much more realistic and relatable journey. She experiences loss, grief, despair, depression, and finds the strength to do the next right thing in the midst of them. This is what many of us do. While feeling the intensity of grief and despair, we focus on the next thing that we have to do. Anna doesn't deny or sidestep the difficult feelings and finds a way to carry on at the same time. That integration of feeling and action is what makes Anna's journey to individuation and differentiation real and relatable. It's how we get started on the path of developing our own selfhood, learning to exist without the other, to grieve, and to reorient towards ourselves, sometimes for the very first time. This is how we move towards being able to be interdependent. So that's how we can understand Anna and Elsa as individual characters. But what about when, as I mentioned earlier, we recognise both Anna and Elsa within us? It's fairly commonplace to talk about metaphorical parts of ourselves in informal settings. We might say something like, part of me really wants some of the chocolate cake, but I know part of me will regret that later. Some of us even talk about past me, present me, and future me as symbolically different, as in, oh, that's future me's problem, or future me will thank past me. Talking about parts of yourself can be a really helpful way to talk about your own ambivalence. Some examples of theories that work with parts are internal family systems, IFS, transactional analysis, TA, or other ego state theories, and also the psychoanalysis and psychodynamic approaches to a degree. So, when I say I am both Anna and Elsa, I don't mean that at all times I'm embodying both. No. Different situations can lead to me being more Anna, others can lead to me being more Elsa, and then there are others where I'm operating from a different part of myself. If you relate to this, you might find that you embody Anna, self-abandoning, prioritizing other people's needs until you burn out. You might also find that instead of burning out, You go into your Elsa and get really focused on what you need, with this basically being a period of overcorrection. Some of you might find that you embody Elsa until something causes you to overcorrect the other way, and then you operate from your Anna. However these two show up in you, whatever the patterns they inhabit, the healing comes from listening to both sides, the hyper-independent and the self-abandoner. Both have important messages for you, and once you know what those are, you can go about finding the balance between them, rather than trying to eradicate one of them or bouncing from one to the other. Listening to, getting to know, and working with your parts can sound really quite abstract. What we mean by this, though, is really just using metaphor to understand ourselves better. If I want to understand myself abandoning in the name of love, for example, I can internally question things like, what do I achieve through dismissing my needs? Or what would happen if I completely changed my behaviour and put myself first? Sometimes I might get answers in the form of thoughts like, well, by not having needs, I can make sure people don't think I'm demanding and leave. Or I might feel scared, nauseous, and tearful when thinking about completely changing my behaviour. Other times, images, songs, colours, memories, or so on might crop up. How our parts communicate with us can be varied and always is highly personal. Once we have established a sense of what these two parts are doing for us, we can then notice them when they show up and make a call ourselves whether this energy is needed for the current situation or whether we want to take a different approach. Explicitly saying to parts things like, I know you're there and you want to help. I think a different approach might be better here, so I'm going to do that, can be useful in acknowledging the internal experience while also preempting and proactively addressing ambivalence. When both my internal Anna and Elsa can be heard and seen together, I can simultaneously be aware of the different poles, of my me-ness and the other person's them-ness, while also caring deeply for them. And that's the core of this episode, embracing both the people or the parts of yourself who lose themselves, as well as the people or parts of yourself who are hyper-independent. The fuck Elsa energy is pushing back against upholding Elsa as the hero, as the focal point, not because there's anything wrong with her, but because Anna's struggle and fight for her own selfhood is so often overshadowed when we do. It's more about removing the pedestal so that both sisters can be embraced as equals with important things to teach us. This film is all about balance, and that's what I'm aiming for when I say we need to spotlight Anna too. Whether we are talking about external dynamics between people or internal dynamics between the parts of ourself, the message is the same. Seeing them both, honouring their separate journeys and individuality, is essential. Fuck Elsa is a rejection of the societal tendency to give all the glory to Elsa and view Anna's love for Elsa as loyalty rather than a learned self-erasure and self-abandonment. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you've enjoyed this podcast. I look forward to seeing you again in the next one.